north at 12 miles an hour. 18 degrees, 10:45.
Wrigley's Spearmint Gum presents The Howard Miller Show. Now from Miami, Florida, here with music on records is Howard Miller.
Thank you very much, Joe Foss. Hi, everyone, from Miami Beach in Florida, the vacation land of this world. This is Howard Miller speaking from our cabana just off the Surfside at the famed Saxony Hotel, where today our guest is going to be Mack Robbins, a great star, a great comic, and the leading player of a fine musical revue that they have here at the Saxony Hotel called East Meets West. This is a musical production which, of course, along with Mack Robbins, also stars Charlie Spivak, who is our guest later this week. But in the meantime, we're going to play some music. We're going to talk to Mack. We're going to talk to him about how to be a funny man. We're going to even make him tell a couple of stories here to our full Wrigley network from coast to coast. Mack, I'm just putting you on the spot. I'm just teasing. But we're going to have a lot of fun here for the next few minutes. So let's sit back and relax for Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum and listen to Ruth Brown and her Atlantic recording of Lucky Lips.
Little girl with long and silky curls. My mama told me, honey, you've got more than other girls. Now you may not be good looking, but you soon wear diamond clips, and you'll never have to worry, 'cause you've got lucky lips. Lucky lips are always kissing. Lucky lips are never blue. Lucky lips will always charm. With lucky lips, I'll always have a fella in my arms. With lucky lips, I'll always have a fella in my arms. I never get heartbroken, no, I'll never get the blues. And if I play that game of love, I know I just can't lose. When they spin that wheel of fortune, all I do is tip my chips. Lucky lips are always kissing. Lucky lips are never blue. Lucky lips will always find a pair of lips that will be true. I don't need a four-leaf clover, rabbit's foot, or good luck charms. With lucky lips, I'll always have a fella in my arms. With lucky
That's Ruth Brown with a fine record that she's made for Atlantic called Lucky Lips. Now here in Miami Beach, Florida, like all over these United States, in every family imaginable, there will be Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum enjoyed today for the obvious reason that Wrigley's Spearmint is made to be enjoyed. You see, it's light and it's pure, it's wholesome, it's refreshing. And to all of you mamas from coast to coast who might have a couple of little moppets hanging around the household today who might be just a little bit impatient with the weather that you might be having in your town, I hope that you'll plan to give them Wrigley's Spearmint because it's good for them. For young teeth, keeps them clean and bright and refreshing, always with Wrigley's Spearmint. So I hope that you'll enjoy that taste repast that all the world enjoys always, Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. It's ever so good. I know that you'll like it. Well, let's bring a young gentleman up to the microphone here at the Saxony Hotel who is a great star of a great musical revue, which we had the pleasure of seeing last night. His name is Mack Robbins, and I suppose to most of these United States, Mack, you're not as well known as some of the performers on the boards of the American theaters and stage, but it certainly is not for lack of talent because you're one of the great, bright new comics. Is this homeland for you, or are you a Floridian?
No, Howard. In fact, this is the first trip for me here in Miami Beach. And, of course, that word star that you've been using is a nice word. I like it, but I think I'm a long way off, and it frightens me. It always reminds me of the story of the fellow who kept going to a psychiatrist and said, I can't dance, I can't sing, and I can't act. And he said, why don't you quit? He said, I can't because I'm a star. So,
Mac, where did you get your start in show business? This is always interesting to me, to know how a comic discovers himself. Singers discover themselves because they start singing, but what does a comic do? Does he start telling stories to people and he gets a fine reception, so he says, I'm a comic?
well, I don't know. I don't think I was ever a living room comic. Actually, I think I wanted to be a singer, like all of us who do one thing and really hope to be another. Comedy was something I liked to do. I think I did a lot of it in the service.
Uh-huh.
And from there, got to be a sort of a mixture of talents, which I thought I possessed, and I'm trying to find. Maybe I will someday.
Would you say actually you were a singer at one time? Was that your great love, your great enthusiasm for the theater? Or for
Musical comedy, I think. A combination of a comedy and singing and dancing. If I can ever get to that, that would be it. I'd like
You know,
that.
Mac, one of the things that I have noted in your work is that I see in your routines, the routines of a great many people, and it's because they have stolen them for you. What is the recourse that a comic has against other comics who might steal his material? Now, without mentioning any names, I caught a comic here in Miami Beach a couple of days ago on television who was doing a routine that you have done for a great long while. Do you have any recourse? Can you sue? Can you ask them not to do it?
Well, unfortunately, suing is pretty difficult. Asking him not to, I can do that. Of course, I know he'll refuse, but I can ask. And I don't think that bothers me very much. If I get to the point where people are taking things that I do, I think I'm beginning to arrive.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of flattering. And if you develop a style, I think that's more important than the material that you do. Nobody can take your style. If you do that, you're in pretty good shape.
Yes, well, now there are a thing known in our business as comedians' comics. Now, you as a comedian or a comic, who do you understand? Who do you appreciate? Who gets through to you when you sit there as part of the people who watch the show?
Well, there are two, I think, that I can pick on offhand without thinking real hard. I like Jackie Leonard very much. He tickles me. And a great many other people. Like most comics, there are some people that might not go from as much as I do, but he tickles me. And there's another man who I admire very, very much. I think he's very funny, and he's also quite a wonderful guy. That's Phil Foster, who has been sort of a patron saint to me. I kind of got picked up by Phil and went with his manager, a fellow named Harry Morton. And those two offhand are fellas that I laugh.
Well, now, that was going to be my next question. Do you actually laugh? Do you sit there and laugh, or do you find yourself as a tradesman yourself who might be looking for mechanical devices? You might be watching for a reaction, but you don't actually laugh at the jokes. But you actually laugh at the jokes.
No, you're right. Actually, Howard, to use a phrase that we use in show business, I dig them both. I chuckle inwardly, and I understand what they're doing, and I don't guess I really laugh out loud.
Yes. What about television and radio for comics, Mac? Do you fear it because it's so exhausting? I mean, it exhausts material so quickly. Do you prefer rooms to the great mass communication of television or radio?
I think that in my position, and only a fellow in my position, has a need for television. Anybody that's made it is in trouble if he tries television, because it will exhaust anything he does, and whether he has new material every week or not, it doesn't really matter, because people will just automatically get tired of seeing the same face.
Yes, well, there just aren't that many writers either, are there?
No.
There are not that many funny situations that exist in life that you can keep drawing from those situations. Now, what about your material, Mac? You prefer to create most of it yourself, or do you pay a writer who comes in and says, here's a great gag for you?
Well, most of the things I've created because I've come to believe that topical things, everyday life, real, true things are humor. A little exaggeration, possibly, but that's where we find most humor today. It's changed. Nightclubs that they had years ago, the style of working has changed completely. You're working to an average American public, people who are not necessarily the nightclub goers and the theater goers. They stay at home, and they understand a broader, simpler, and different type of humor than the nightclub flip comic that they had.
Well, now, this is a great show here at the Saxony. I dig it the most, in a manner of speaking. Charlie Spivak, who I think plays one of the greatest horns in the business, and you, as a musical review, you prefer to do this type of thing, or would you rather stand up as a stand-up comic and work a straight monologue, devoid or detached from the rest of a show like you are here? You're integrated as part of a musical review.
I prefer this, by all means. While we're on the subject, I'd like to say, if I may, about the rest of the stars, and I mean that in our show. Of course, starting with Charlie Spivak, I think everybody knows how magnificent a musician he is, but I don't know for sure if everyone knows what a wonderful man that he is. And this has been the thrill of my life, meeting Charlie, working with him. The kids in the show, Louise Hoff, a wonderful actress and a talented comedian, and Lolo and Lisa's a great novelty act. Paul Leader, Mary Montoya, and all the girls in the show. This has been, for me, a great thrill, and this is what I prefer, actually. I think that's why I'm here.
Yes. And actually, working nightclubs other than the theaters gives you an opportunity to get out to Hialeah every afternoon and help hardtack boot a few home, doesn't it?
Well, that's...
Mac, it's just wonderful having you here. We're going to slip a record on, and we're going to officially bid you goodbye on our full CBS network for Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum. In the meantime, let's listen to Rusty Draper with his fine new record he has called Let's Go Calypso.
Gilly got your gum, Gilly got your gum, Gilly got your gum, bye-oh.
Let's go on slow banana boat. Let's go Jamaica bound. So say farewell, let's go afloat, go up to Kingston town.
Let's go down, let's go, Gilly got your gum, bye-oh, bye-oh. Let's go down, let's go, Gilly got your gum, by-Joe.
Let's go to Cindy's when we down. The guidebook says it's fun. Let's go day-o around the clock. Jamaica, here we come.
Let's go down, let's go, Gilly got your gum, bye-oh, bye-oh. Let's go down, let's go, Gilly got your gum, by-Joe.
Let's go banana boat. Let's pack a brush and comb. One taste of rum and mango fruit. We'll take Jamaica home.
Let's go down, let's go, Gilly got your gum, bye-oh, bye-oh. Let's go down, let's go, Gilly got your gum, by-Joe. Gilly got your gum, bye-oh, bye-oh. Gilly got your gum, bye-oh, bye-oh. Gilly got your gum, Gilly got your gum, Gilly got your gum, bye-oh, bye-oh.
That's Rusty Draper with a fine new record that he has made for Mercury. Actually, I shouldn't say a fine new record because you might remember we introduced it to the CBS network a number of weeks ago when Rusty was visiting in New York. We did a person-to-person bit with him out of famed Alan Dick's restaurant in New York City. Our vantage point for these 2 weeks is down in Miami Beach, Florida, and our guest today is Mack Robbins, the star of a fine show here which is playing the Pagoda Room of the Saxony Hotel, East meets West. Mac, how does a comic spend the rest of his time other than entertaining the great throngs that crowd into the Pagoda Room? You have hobbies? You have relaxation that gets you away?
Well, I have a few hobbies, Howard, but I don't think I'll go into them now while we're on the air.
It's pretty tough to desert the beach, though. This area around
This is
here
something
was
that I
fun.
do.
I have never seen such fabulous weather in my life as we've had the last couple of days around here. Has it been this way for quite some time?
Every day since I've been here, and that's 3 weeks. I don't know. Every single day has been sunny and beautiful, the most beautiful weather I've ever seen.
And when you get tired of being funny for the people, I think you can be elected to the Chamber of Commerce.
Wow.
Thanks very much, Mac. It's a real pleasure having you here. We've been speaking from our cabana in the same Saxony Hotel in Miami Beach, the vacation land of these United States, and so many people are down here. This is just fantastic weather we've had. The temperature here at noontime is 73 degrees, and it's a rather sweet, soft zephyr that is blowing out of the south at about 10 miles per hour. And it's just a real delightful day, which I'm sure it must be in your own community if you have love in your hearts for each other, and I presume that you do. And now, in the meantime, please enjoy Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum whenever you can. And this is Howard Miller. We'll see you from Miami Beach tomorrow. Goodbye for now, and back to Joe Foss in Chicago.
Be sure to join Howard at the same time tomorrow from Miami Beach and Chicago when his guest will be Charlie Spivak. This is the CBS Radio Network.
This is the WBBM Air Theater, Wrigley Building, Chicago.